We're gonna talk about the Dallas Wings. And the Wings have been soaring. Obviously, they did not have the season that they expected, finishing with the #1 overall pick, missing the playoffs, seeing one of their stars in Satu Sabali getting hurt. It was a lot of stuff that just happened last season, but now they look forward with the expansion draft. Now the question for the Dallas Wings is, will Dallas gamble with their youth? Obviously, Dallas is poised to protect their stars in Enrique Ogunbowale, as well as first team All WNBA selection Satu Sabali. Now, Enrique herself made second team this season, but Sabali is the unicorn. She's younger, and she's got more potential for this roster. Dallas is poised to protect their stars like a Satu Sabali, who made first team All WNBA 2 years ago, and an Enrique Ogunbowale, who made second team All WNBA this season. The two of them, the tandem pair that they are, the tandem two for this Dallas Wings team with Sabali and Ogunbowale, they led this team to a WNBA semifinals, finishing as one of the 4 teams in the league to go compete for a chip, and that alone is a feat in itself. They want to get back to their they want to get back to their Detroit Shock days when they were winning championships led by Tweety Nolan. But now the question is, are they going to keep players like JC Sheldon and Maddie Siegrist as well with this roster? If it's me, I'm making that decision and I'm saying yes. If your name's not JC, Maddie, Enrique, Satu, Paige, it's been real. Even Jalen and Kalani, it's been real. These are the projected protected players for the Wings. And this is interesting. So this is Satu Sabali, who's an unrestricted free agent, and they have to do everything in their power to bring her back. JC Sheldon, Maddie Siegrist, Enrique Ogunbowale, who's a free agent next year. And these are the last 2 picks that they decided was looking like projected that they're going to keep. Carla Late and Tierra McCowan. Now, what I will say is this. I would have that roster a little bit different, truthfully, if it were me. I would probably keep Kalani Brown, and I probably would keep Jaylen Brown. If it's me, I'm keeping Jaylen. Jaylen Brown is a dynamic scorer. I don't feel like she got enough playing time. She was hurt, obviously, in the beginning of the season, but she could play. She could play, and she could score really well in bunches. And as well as a Kalani Brown, who is mobile, and she's actively a better defender than Tierra McCowan is. And obviously, Tierra is more gifted offensively, but when it comes to the defensive front, she's not as mobile. Even though Kalani is really big as well, like physically big, 6'8", like she's in stature. Kalani, I feel like, can move, and she plays a little bit more harder on defense than Tierra does. You might be losing a little bit more on offense, obviously having a Tierra who can get a 20-20 game, and she's just really talented. But the question is, are you going to bring her back knowing that you've seen what happened last year when she was playing big minutes and they weren't doing well defensively? Now, obviously, Natasha Howard, who's an unrestricted free agent, she's not coming back, but she's ineligible to be taken away. But these are some of the players that are the unprotected players for the Dallas Wings that are projected. So you have Jaylen Brown, who I mentioned. She's a restricted free agent. She could shoot. She could play really well. You have, obviously, Lou Lopez, who was a center. Stephanie Suarez, Sevi Uzwin. They got some players in here that played a lot of minutes for this Wings team. But the question is, do you want to have to bring them back anyway, knowing that you only won 9 games last season and you didn't make the playoffs and that you got the #1 pick in the draft? So the question is, why would you want to bring back a team that you know it just doesn't work? So now the other question, though, to beg is, if you're protecting Carla Late, you need her to come back. You need her to come back and play for this team. But then the question is, why do you have Carla Late, JC Sheldon, and then projected #1 pick in Paige Bueckers, and then you got an Enrique? So you got 4 guards right there. So it's going to be really interesting. And that doesn't include a Jaylen Brown, who may or may not be coming back to this team, or a Maddie Siegrist, who can also swing to the 2 or 3 position. So it's some decisions that Dallas is going to have to make for this roster for sure. And if you're Kurt Miller, who's obviously newly hired as a general manager, he's already said that he's interested in making moves and wheeling and dealing this offseason. So we're going to see a lot of different things happen and matriculate for this team. And if the Wings get this wrong, I mean, it's not like they could do worse because they got the #1 pick. But they don't want to waste the careers of Satu Sabali, who they're depending on trying to keep, and Enrique Ogunbowale, who they need to make sure that they can re-sign in 2026. And the other question is, if you're not going to protect them, I mean, which they should, JC and Maddie should absolutely be on the protection list. If the Wings get this wrong, Greg Bibbs has already spoken about this year being a reset and not a rebuild. This could be back another rebuild, though. But we'll see. But I honestly think that they're going to get this right and move on forward. Do you think the Wings should risk their future depending on younger players? Or should they scrap it and try and rebuild? Y'all let me know what your thoughts are in the chat.